Hello, hello, hello to all my uniques out there. This is your girl, Akudo. Welcome to Real Talk with Unique. With me in the studio is Dr. Bello. Dr. Bello, say hi to my uniques.
Hi, everyone.
Dr. Opara, say hi.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Unique Show.
All right, guys, you know how we do it. To all my returning subscribers, hello and welcome back. For those of you that are not part of my family, what are you waiting for? You see the red button that says subscribe? Click on that button. Wait for the notification bell and click on that one too, so you'll be the first to see my videos once they drop. Our topic for today is the effects of excessive anger in a relationship. Last time we talked about anger in a relationship. We talked about hitting below the belt. We talked about venting. We talked about what it does in a relationship. But today we are going to talk about excessive anger. And I'm going to use this definition, okay? The definition says anger is a natural and mostly automatic response to pain of one form or another, physical or emotional. Anger can occur when people don't feel well, feel rejected, feel frustrated, are annoyed, feel threatened, or experience some kind of loss. Let's start with you, Dr. Opara. What do you think about that definition?
And I agree with that definition in the sense that I'm only going to add that anger is a state of mind or a thing that occurs where when you have lost control of a certain situation just because of how somebody or something has made you feel.
Okay.
That's the only thing I'm going to add to that. Apart from that, they're correct in the definition that they have given regarding what anger can be and how it can affect the human mind and also your relationship with others.
Okay, you said something about how anger makes you feel. So it doesn't matter the intention of the person. The person might think they're doing something good, but if you perceive it or feel that they have wronged you, then you can be angry. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, anger is both an objective um, feeling and also a subjective feeling. Because
Okay.
certain things, because of the things that can make one person angry, may not make another angry.
Okay.
So to that extent, it is subjective to the person who is feeling the anger. But in another sense, certain things can make everyone angry on hearing it or having witnessed it or even having experienced it. So in that case, anger can also be objective.
All right. Let's hear from you, Dr. Bello. What do you think?
So I'm just going to add a little bit to your definition. Of course, anger is also a strong feelings of annoyance, displeasure, or hostility. So, which means anger can serve people when, just like Dr. Opara said, when you're losing control over something, when you're not able to express your vulnerability or you're not able to express any underlying emotions, then you respond with anger.
Okay. So now, what about anger in relationship? Most of the time, normal human beings, families fight, siblings fight. So it's bound to happen in a relationship, in a marriage. Most times when people are angry, maybe you feel wrong or you feel annoyed or you feel frustrated, like the definition says, you think you are now licensed to act and do whatever. What do you think about that? Let's start with you, Dr. Bello.
So, anger in a relationship, I would say anger is very good. Anger is a good thing, but the way we respond to it is what matters. The way we use the anger. In my own, to my best knowledge, to my best understanding, is anger is actually something that is telling you that something is not right, something is not going on. It's going on, something is not right. So when you feel that anger, you need to pause, stop, and assess it and say, what exactly am I angry about?
Okay.
So in a relationship, when there's anger, and the anger is not being addressed or there's no communication, it becomes a violence.
Okay.
So I'm going to use a very good example. So let's say, for example, you took my stuff. Yeah.
Mm,
Dr. Akudo, you took my stuff.
okay.
And I, instead of me to come to you and said, you took my stuff, I don't like the fact that you took my stuff. I kept it to myself. Every time you come close to me, I react to you. And you in your state of mind. So I'm doing this, let's say husband and wife. So I'm just using you and I.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So in my home mind, I'm be like, why has she changed? What's going on? But instead of you to express to me and say, you took my stuff and I don't like that you took my stuff.
Mm-hmm.
If you're able to express it to me, I can come out to you and be like, okay, Dr. Akudo, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to take it at that moment. You were not close to me to ask for permission. I just wanted to use it. Okay, here, take it. Do you
Okay.
get this part? And then in the other end, I might come to you, you might come to me and say, you took my stuff. And I'm like, people take people's stuff all the time. So what are you talking about? What's the big deal about it? You see what I'm saying? So the
Exactly.
way I will react to that will be the way you will react to that will be very different. So
Okay.
when you put it in between husband and wife, when
Mm,
something is happening, the wife is going to the husband and say, "This is honey, this is what you did that I don't like." Instead of him to be like, "You know what, sweetie, I'm a little bit tired right now. I think we could talk about this tomorrow." Maybe the husband comes in or the wife comes in and be like, you know what? Why do you nag? You nag too much. Why are you asking me all this? You see what I'm saying?
yes.
At the end of the day, you bottle things up. You
Yes.
know, at the long run in a relationship, anger will become resentment. Before you know, resentment will become abuse.
That's right. So, Dr. Opera, I want you to add a little bit to what Dr. Bello said about communication. So, from what she's saying, you can be angry. Anger is a normal thing. Even the Bible says, be angry, but do not let the sun go down on your anger. So, we are allowed to be angry. It's a normal feeling. But what about communication? Do you think communication plays a role, like she's saying, on how you get angry? Does it affect your anger? What do you say about that?
Yes, first of all, I agree with her by saying that anger is a natural stimulus. Everybody exhibits anger at one level or the other. However, the way you control that anger and the way you show that anger is what makes the difference in your action.
Okay.
Well, like what you're saying, it is not advisable to try to address any issue while you're angry. That's
Okay.
where communication comes in. Your
Mhm.
communication at that point is going to be a little bit off because it's going to be based on anger.
Okay.
However, when you have calmed down a bit, anger has a boiling point and also a cooling off point. So when you started with your first point, it's going to be high up there because you're angry either by what somebody said or by what somebody did to you. When you calm down and think about it, then it's time for communication. That's when you now approach the issue. This is what you did that I didn't like. And you'll be surprised. Sometimes you get so much anger, you exhibit so much anger over nothing. Maybe the person on the other side doesn't even know that they have harmed you that much. That's where communication comes in.
Okay,
You
yeah.
find yourself getting angry, and the worst kind of anger are those that, like my colleague said, like Dr. Bello said, the ones that we bottle up. We bottle anger up and count errors upon errors and errors upon errors, and the whole book is filled up with errors. Don't be surprised if the person doesn't even know that they have annoyed you. So you have wasted all that energy on bottle up things that are of no consequence. So anger plays a major role in relationships, and communication has always been the key to a better relationship.
Okay, let me read this. I saw this and I like this. This says anger, when excessive, results to physical violence, threatening violence to someone or someone's property. Okay? He
Mhm.
says, he says, an inability to control your anger Feeling will make you feel compelled to do something that is violent or impulsive because you are angry. Dr. Opera, go on that one.
Yes, I agree with that because that's why when people exhibit an amount of anger in relationships, we advise them to seek counseling. The reason for that is that if you do not do anything about your anger and you continue to bottle it up, you continue to keep it, it's going to spill over sooner or later.
That's right.
And when it spills over, it can lead to physical, emotional, or psychological abuse. So it's always good to express yourself, communicate, and let it go. Because there is also a saying that I really believe in, is that when you are angry about a particular relationship or about a particular person, that person is controlling you.
That's too
When you
much.
let your anger off, then you regain control of yourself. Nobody can get you to stress yourself out or to do things that you don't want to do if you know how to control your anger. But if you don't, yes, it could lead to different things that you come to regret, including abuse, violence, and all kinds of domestic relation abuse. You know, sometimes when people cool down, they now regret the actions they took while they are angry. In
But
that situation, you have lost track.
Yeah.
You have lost control because you were angry.
All right, Dr. Bello, let's get your take on that.
So I just want to say, let me add to what Dr. Opara just said. So when you're hungry, anytime you're hungry in a relationship, at your place of work or whatever, you have to accept that you're hungry. And that's one problem that majority have, is the acceptance that they're hungry. Maybe because the society make us feel that anger it's bad. Like I said, anger is a good thing. You have to accept. I read in one article today, I was actually looking over anger, and I found the word FAR, far. It says frustration, anger, and resentment. So anytime you feel angry, you do far back. Meaning you have to far back, sit down, process it. What exactly am I angry about? Yes, I know I am angry. And in the article, the writer said, you have to tell yourself, yes, I'm hungry. You need to accept that. Yes, I'm hungry. For example, in a relationship, anything is going on between you and your husband, you're the wife, you let your husband know, honey, I am very hungry right now. And I feel very frustrated right now. I would like to discuss it, but right now I don't want to talk about it. You see what I'm saying? You accept it. But most of the time, the kind of relationship we have now is, are you angry? No, I'm not hungry. I'm not angry. I know you're not angry, but you're acting out. You see what I'm saying? Or just because you don't have the right to be angry around your husband or around your wife, when they ask you, are you angry? You said, no, you're not angry, but you're acting out. You know, when you're hungry, there's an hormone that is actually, secreting in your system. So there's no way you can hide your hunger. You know, when you're hungry, there's this fight or flight hormone that is secreting, and you're trying to calm that flight hormone down. It's not possible. You need to act on it. Just the same way when you see a lion, would you see a lion and stand and say, hi, lion? No, you're looking for the next window to break it, to destroy it, and get out. So I always tell my client that way, like, you need to accept that you're hungry and you need to process it. Your anger is telling you, address me. So I don't know if that makes sense.
That makes sense, but I want you to explain something, because you raised a very important point. Most of the time, our husbands, our wives, our partners will get us angry, but we don't want to show that we are angry. And then when they ask you, are you angry? You say, oh, no, I'm not angry. So what you're doing is what Dr. Opera said, you're bottling it up. You're bottling it up. I want you to talk a little bit more on that, Dr. Bello. So because of this hormone, you're talking about the flight or fight thing. So do you walk away? do you leave the situation and then come back to it, or what do you do when you're faced with- because I know you don't want to lash out. So what do you do in that situation?
So, any situation you find yourself that you're not able to express your anger, it's not you're not. I don't mean lash out your anger, but you're not able to express yourself that you're angry and like your anger needs to be addressed. It's not a situation you want to be in.
Okay.
That's a psychological
Oh,
and emotional abuse.
Okay.
So the question you're asking, most of the time in a relationship where they will ask you, are you hungry? I'm not hungry. It's the way you have been trained. So let's say it's two-way. Let me say this, it's a two-way thing. Sometimes it's our childhood up, like your childhood trauma, your childhood upbringing, where everybody must be quiet. You cannot express yourself. And you
Yes.
will bring that into your marriage. So
Mhm.
you think just keeping quiet means respect. Not saying what you want means respect.
Means respect.
And
Yeah.
then if you're very, very unlucky, you end up with an abuser, that's a great avenue for someone to abuse you because you're very agreeable all the time.
Hmm.
Do you understand that? Do you understand that way? You're
Yes.
very agreeable all the time. You can express it. You're hungry. No, I'm not hungry because, in your growing up, they've told you not expressing your anger means you're respecting that person.
Yes.
Or the second part is in the relationship you are in, you've expressed your anger in the past. Your anger was minimized. Your
I got you in trouble. Mm.
Yes, got you in trouble. It was minimized, got you in trouble, and now you're scared to express it that you're hungry. If let's say we're in a relationship and I'm coming to you and say, I saw you talking to a woman yesterday. Who is that? You guys were kissing or holding each other. And instead of you to be like, oh, that was my sister. I just said, let me hug, and you don't know this person. But instead you come back at me and be like, why are you so jealous? You jealous. You crazy. You need help. Guess what? Next time when I see you with a woman, I won't be able to
Don't
say it.
say anything.
For
Yes.
instance, I will bottle it up and I will act on it. Either maybe I used to cook your meal before I stopped cooking your meal. Maybe I used to get your work clothes ready. I stopped doing it because in my mind I'd be like, you're saying someone else. I'm angry, but you're not addressing my anger. And then when a family member comes in and said, you're angry, I'd be like, no, I'm not angry because I don't want to be punished. Do you get that?
Yes, I get that. Okay, I
yeah,
think. Okay, Dr. Opera, go ahead.
yeah. What I wanted to chime in and say is that I understand what Dr. Bello is saying. Some people have been taught, probably because of the way they were brought up, not to express themselves.
Mm.
Others were also taught to express themselves. But the bottom line is this: anger, bottled up anger, can result to all kinds of things.
That's right.
Not only does it result to abuse in relationships or domestic violence, it can also result to you harming yourself by developing high blood pressure and things that can actually harm you. Some people have been known to go crazy, like have some mental issues because they have been so angry for so long, have not communicated to anyone, or tried to express themselves. Instead, they have bottled everything up, and it has really affected their well-being.
Mhm.
So anger is a big deal. I know Dr. Bello defines it as a good thing. I would say it's natural. I don't know if I would say it's a good thing, but I want to say that it is natural because
Uh-huh.
everybody has one form of anger or the other.
Okay.
But
Mhm.
we have to be able to communicate, to let it out so that it doesn't harm us, and also to communicate in an effective way so that it doesn't spill up to abuse.
Okay, now that takes us straight into abuse. What do you think abuse is in a relationship? Let me start with you, Dr. Bello.
So let me just I'm not going to give a definition of abuse. Of course, abuse is abuse. But I
Abuse
just
is
want to
abuse.
say abuse is psychological, abuse is emotional, abuse is financial, abuse is physical, abuse is sexual, abuse is stalking, abuse is um
Verbal.
talking.
It's
Yes,
verbal.
abuse is verbal, calling names, lashing out. Abuse is threats. Abuse is yelling. So those things that we don't count as abuse, it's abuse. And most of the time, the only thing that majority, let me say maybe 50, 60% of the
Physical.
society thinks is abuse is the
It's
physical.
physical.
But
Yeah.
I tell you, before it results into physical, there has been years
Abuse.
of emotional, psychological abuse. And most of the time, if that person, let's say an abuser, an abuser, I want to say the word narcissist or abuser is a spectrum. It depends on how bad you are in the spectrum. So
Yeah.
if you're still in the mild place, the only way you will move to the moderate or severe will be if your victim keeps quiet. You see what I mean? So if you're that pleaser, people please and pleasing, always pleasing and pleasing, of course your abuser will love things like that. They will not say anything. But the moment you start setting boundaries, and say, this is what I will take and this is what I will not take, he will quickly move into physical.
Physical. That's true. That's what I wanted to say. Yes, that's true. Mhm. All right, Dr. Opera, like she said, we are talking about anger as it relates to abuse. Now we are talking about physical, verbal, psychological, and emotional abuse. How do you think anger affects verbal, emotional, and psychological abuse? Because most of the
Well,
time, I have seen
go ahead.
I have seen marriages whereby the husband started with just emotional abuse, keeping silent, giving you the silent treatment, not dismissing you, gaslighting you, not paying attention. Then finally, they now got to psychological abuse, using the things that are your insecurities and begin to taunt you with them. And then they go to verbal, they start calling you names before they even get to physical. So, what is your take on that? Do you think there's any relationship between anger, excessive anger, and verbal, psychological, and emotional abuse? Dr. Opera, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Yes, I agree with what Dr. Bello explained regarding how anger affects people. Anger affects people in a way that in the relationship, without their knowing it, they resort to verbal abuse. That's
Yeah.
the first sign of anger. You lash out and tell the other person whatever. Then maybe the other person will talk back or maybe say one or two things, especially with in relationships between husband and wife or husband and significant others. They may say something back to you, and that can result to physical abuse.
Okay.
All these things start with anger. First of all, anger is looked upon as, oh, it's not a big deal, he's angry. But some people think that if they are angry, they're justified.
Yes.
So they
Yes.
will lash out verbally. They will lash out and tell you and emotionally torture you, say things that will affect your well-being or the other person's well-being. And then if there is, even if they don't respond, sometimes they'll be so angry that it becomes physical. And
Mhm.
that's where domestic violence comes in. That's why people, if you look at some of the things, some of these women and other people suffer this at most, especially immigrant women. And because of them, the law was made, what we call VAWA, which is Violence Against Women's Act. That applies both for its unisex. It applies to both men and women. You find yourself in a relationship you can't get out of. The person is angry and refuses to take therapy or to go to anger management. So the anger is always visited on their partner or their spouses or their significant others.
Mhm.
When you abuse an adult every day, you are exhibiting signs of anger.
Mhm.
When you call an adult out every day on insignificant things, you are also exhibiting signs of anger. Then
Mhm.
when you now get to the point where you go to, where you now result in physical violence, that can lead to both injury and death. So anger is a big deal in relationship. And if you have anger issue, you do need to control it before it boils over to something that can become criminal.
Okay, Dr. Bello, what I want you to add something to that. Anger resulting to verbal, emotional, and psychological abuse.
Yes. So, like I already explained, of course, when there's anger, anger is good, but when it's not well managed, it's bad. Okay. And most of the time, the reason why we're here talking today is because we've seen so many people exhibiting a very bad anger. You know, so if you, because you're angry, you're emotionally abusing your partner, because you're angry, you're psychologically abusing your partner, I would say my recommendation is go get help.
You need help.
Go get help. And if you cannot get help, whoever is the victim need to move out, move on, or find a way out. There is no way saying, see, the thing is, let me tell you how you actually know an healthy, angry person and a toxic, angry person. An healthy, angry person will be able to reflect and say, what I'm doing, I think is affecting something here. Or a toxic, angry person, they see no problem with what they're doing. So I am putting this out to therapists, I'm putting this out to therapists, I'm putting it out to coaches. You know, when you want to address anger in a relationship, in a marriage, you need to, I think you need to assess both parties separately. You understand? So if you're well knowledgeable, you're able to say, okay, I think this person is ready to make a change. I think this person is ready to make a change. But when you have both of them together, you're trying to resolve something, and one is pointing fingers and the other one is pointing finger. No one is admitting and be like, okay, I think we need help here. Let's get the help that we need. Then it becomes problematic. Yes. So the bottom line is, when you recognize, if you're able to recognize that you have anger issue, you need to go get help. Relationship, if your anger is affecting your relationship, is affecting your family, you need to go get help. It's very important you get help.
Okay, let me ask you guys this question, because I've had so many women that I coach and they tell me, oh, I am not being abused because he doesn't hit me. So they are concerned about the physical abuse. I am not abused because he doesn't hit me, but he calls me all kinds of names. He talks about my insecurities. He puts me down every chance he gets, but I don't think I'm being abused. At least my own is better than hers, because in her own case, her husband hits her. Dr. Opara,
yes, I'm laughing because that is just like the one that I hear women say, oh, I'm not being abused because when he hits me, I hit him back. We keep forgetting that the marriage relationship is not a wrestling field. We're not in a boxing ring where you hit me, I hit you, and then we are equal. The truth of the matter is that abuse comes in different forms, shapes, sizes. So by saying that, oh, after all, he doesn't hit me, he only tells me bad words, or he just call me every name in the book, it's not really hitting me, so I'm not abused. It's a flat lie. You are in an abusive relationship. If you fight back and you are the one that even beats him up, but you are fighting in your relationship, you are in an abusive relationship.
That's right.
It doesn't have to be that he's the one that beats you up, or that you beat him up, or there is no beating up, but we can wake up in the morning and call each other every name in the book, call each other out of their name for hours, and that is not abuse. It is abuse. A relationship, according to the Bible, everywhere else, even in the law, is supposed to be companionship.
That's right.
An exchange, compromise, an exchange of give and take. Once you have that kind of a relationship, you have a healthy relationship. But when you engage in verbal abuse, emotional abuse, or some people play games on. In fact, I went to this marriage counseling. Sometimes in the society or in the community, we do marriage counseling, right? And if you see the type of names these two people called each other, in fact, they wish each other that while they are driving, they will get into the worst kind of accident, and their car will be squeezed with each other. Just because they don't hit each other, they think they are in a very healthy relationship. I just laugh because that's a classic example of an abusive relationship.
That's right.
So people that think that way need to really understand that relationships are not built on verbal abuse, on physical abuse, emotional blackmail. We have those people that say, oh, they will beat the woman blue and black. And they tell the woman, if you leave me, I will commit suicide. So they're using what we call manipulation to hold the woman in an abusive relationship.
Exactly.
These are all signs of anger. Anger is the starting point, and then it boils over to things that that get people to go to where they don't want to go, but which ultimately is harmful to the human relationship.
All right, Dr. Bello, it's your turn. I want you to answer that question.
So
I'm
I
not-
want to add to Dr. Opara. In fact, she's really touching it. She's touching the real part. So I don't want to miss any point. So I typed out something. So I want to read this out so that whoever is watching us, they will understand that just physical abuse is not the only abuse. As a
Nice,
matter of
nice.
fact, if you've ever been, I'm a survivor. Dr. Para, I'm an abuse survivor. Over 15 years in a marriage. I was abused physically, psychologically, emotionally, sexually, financially, everything you can think of. So if I'm talking, I'm not talking from just from the book. I'm
You're
talking
talking from experience.
yes. And like I said, for me to be able to come out from that mentality, I went to get help. I went for therapy. I have my own personal coach that I'm seeing. All of the kids are in therapy too. And that's one thing that I recommend for everyone. If you ever been through any abusive relationship, because you don't want your children to grow up an abuser or a victim.
Being abused, yes.
So I want to say physical, an abusive relationship, it looks like this. So in the physical, it will be harm you physically in any way, including slapping, pushing, grabbing, shaking, smacking, kicking, or punching. Tries to control different aspects of your life, like where you go, what you
Control.
wear,
The kind of friends you keep.
the food you eat, the kind of friends you keep, and such as how you dress, who you hang out with, and what you say. Frequently humiliate you or makes you feel unworthy, like call you names, tell you how fat you are, how you need to go lose weight. For example, if your partner puts you down but tells you that he or she loves you, you just finish verbally abusing me and you come back and tell me you love me. So it's a mixture. It's called cognitive dissonance. So if you're listening to me, you need to go look what they call cognitive dissonance. It's cognitive dissonance is when you have two realities, right? But they are actually, let me say, they said the road is blue and the road is white, but you don't know which one to believe. You see what I'm saying? So the road is blue, but they said the road is white, but they make that white look like it's blue. You see what I'm saying? So you're in between. That's the most powerful psychological abuse you can ever go through. When someone is doing something wrong to you and still telling you they love you, you need to run. So the next one is threatening to harm you or self-harm. Dr. Opara mentioned something. When they tell you they will commit suicide when you leave them, it's an abuse.
It's an abuse, yes.
But a lot of people, oh, he loves me. He want to kill himself because of me. Oh, please, that's an abuse. That's a manipulation. If you leave the relationship, I will harm myself if you leave the relationship. Twist the truth to make you feel you are blamed or your partner, you blame your partner for your own action. For example, you're cheating, but you're telling me it's because I'm not dressing sexy.
Exactly.
Exactly.
That's an abuse. Or because you stop providing, you start giving me sex money afternoon and night. Did you ask yourself, what exactly have you done wrong that the sex is not going the way it was going before? A battered woman or a battered man would not have urge for sex. And that's why most of the time in an abusive marriage or relationship, the wherever the person is, they start abusing them sexually too. Because when you forcefully have sex with someone, that's rape.
That's the ultimate control.
That's rape. It's rape. But people don't believe in marital rape, but marital rape exists a lot and it happens a lot.
It's real.
It's
Yeah.
real.
So you demand to know where that person is all the time. You know, people always they always mistake that for love. You know, let me put this in quick if you don't mind. I spoke to my group member 2 days ago, and she was telling me how she had to go take something graphic that a lie detector test.
Whoa.
She actually showed me the results. Her husband took her to go get a lie detector test because he feels like she's having an affair with people. And the lie detector test came. She sent me the result, and he still went ahead and said it's a lie, that's not the real results. You see what I'm saying? This is in America. This is in America. I'm telling you,
Yes.
it's happening for real. The lady
And to
came
take
to me
it
and
from what Dr. Bello said,
she was telling
I'm
me
sorry,
she can't live no more. She doesn't have anything to live for. She's tired. She want to kill herself.
oh no.
Anyway, they always demand where you go. If you go to the market, they have to time you and make sure, okay, when you go to Kroger doesn't take more than 1 hour to drive back. They even look at the mileage, you know. So, and the next thing is constantly becomes jealous or angry when you want to spend time with your friends. You see what I'm saying? So that is all abuse. But when you look at all this, is there any touching, slapping, pushing?
None.
Exactly.
Mhm. And I wanted to say something. Dr. Opara, you wanted to add something before I say something?
Yes, I wanted to add something while she was mentioning specifically what we consider as different kinds of abuse or signs of abuse, signs that you are in an abusive relationship, are some of the things that she mentioned. When you are being belittled, you are told that you don't know anything or that your opinion does not matter. Or when you are told that, what do you know? What do you want to say about that? What do you know about that? You don't listen to nothing. Those type of belittlement is what also is a form of abuse.
That's right.
Or when, like she said, you're not allowed to hang out with your friends. Let's even forget friends. Sometimes you're not allowed to hang out with family.
That's right.
Your sisters cannot come round. Your mom cannot come round. His own people cannot even come round. So it's not only your own people. Nobody can come around. So that's what we call isolation.
Yes.
They want to put you, they want to isolate you and put you by themselves. That way they can manipulate you
And do
by
whatever.
using all this. They beat you up while you are bleeding on the floor. They pick you up. They clean you up. They tell you how much they love you, how you make them do these things. How do you see what you have made me do? Without this, now I will not do this. This kind of little cry like a baby and whining is a classic sign of abuse.
That's right.
What is so funny? I think what is so funny, I must speak to this because of where we are coming from, is that it has gotten into our head through it's embedded into our culture that some of these things are okay if they are between a husband and a wife.
Exactly.
Like Dr. Bello mentioned, they don't even want to recognize the true meaning of the word rape. Rape is forcing a woman to have sexual intercourse without her knowledge without her knowledge or consent. Because some people, we put knowledge there because some people go as far as drugging the woman or
Yes.
giving her something. That is also rape because that consent is kind of without knowledge. And if are forcing you to have consent or blackmailing you into having sex, yes, you are in a relationship or you are married. So therefore, sex between married people are supposed to be consensual back and forth. However, if you are forced under duress to have sex or somebody rapes you in the guise that they are your husband and they can do that, or they are your wife, because this can go either way, they can do that, then that is also a classic sign of abuse. Abuse is not only physical, it may not be sexual rape, like we are calling it. It may not be intercourse. It may not even be somebody hitting you every day. But the way they talk to you, the way they speak to you in front of people, the way they don't allow you to express yourself when you are in a gathering, the way you cannot sit in the same place they are sitting, you have to be behind in the kitchen or somewhere else, the way you cannot even chime into the conversation, and all kinds of things as classic signs of abuse. And that's what I believe that Dr. Bello is trying to point out, that you can recognize these signs when they come and get help. Because one thing abuse is very dangerous is because if you continue in an abusive relationship, two things will happen. You're either going to be dead. That's one thing that can happen. You'll be dead. Because the abuser does not change overnight unless they have obtained some kind of therapy or counseling. Abuse also runs around in circle. It's a vicious circle. If you do not break it, the generations to come will also obtain it. Have you wondered why you ask the question? A man tells you why he's abusing his wife is because his mom was abused, his mom didn't do anything about it. And you're wondering to yourself, if when your mom was being abused, you didn't like it, why are you doing the same?
Exactly.
It's because the cycle of abuse cannot be broken just like that. There has to be some kind of intervention to break the cycle. So if you find yourself in an abusive relationship, you need to run out and get help. If not for yourself, for your children, if you are in a marriage relationship.
That's right.
Because these things will continue. Your boys will abuse their girlfriends. Your girls will take abuse from any man just because of what they're seeing, even though they don't like it, even though they speak against it. But they need to be in a position where they can actually get some kind of help, whether spiritual from their father, reverend fathers, or their church members, or actual therapy. They have to do that to be able to break that cycle of abuse, so that if you won't find yourself in such a situation. And another thing that I want to add is that from where we come from, we think that if we say that, oh, we have been abused, that either shows that we are not being well groomed, or we're not coming from a good home, or we're trying to disgrace the home that we came from, or whatever our misconceived ideas are. But the bottom line is that if you don't get help, you're gonna end up getting hurt. That's number one, or dying. Those are your two options.
Okay, Dr. Opara, I have a question for you. I want you to clarify something from the legal point of view, since you're an attorney. Consent can also be withdrawn, right? What I mean by that is a man and a woman agree, the woman has given her consent, or the man has given her consent for you guys to have a sexual relationship. And along the way towards the foreplay, and she decides to say, no, I don't want it anymore. No means no, right? You can give consent and you can also take your consent away, right?
Yes, I'm glad that you asked that question, because I've had this enough that, oh, women always say no when they mean yes. No. When we say no, N-O, that's exactly what we mean. No.
That's right.
If women in the past, I don't know where they got this idea from, that when women say no, they actually mean yes. Believe me, in this 21st century, if a woman wants to say yes, she will say yes.
That's
If she says no, that's because the answer is no. And I don't know if you have heard of this. It's a woman's prerogative. So if we have said yes, and down the line they change their mind and say no, the answer is answer is no. No is always no. So you can always withdraw the no. I mean the yes, and make it a no. And anything after the no is rape.
That's right.
Or forceful intercourse, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah,
and that's exactly how it works.
I wanted you to talk about that because we have a lot of people online logged in, and I want women to know that, because sometimes men will use that to blackmail you. Oh, you said yes, you cannot change your mind. Yes, women are human beings too. We can say yes and we can say no. And once we say no, anything after the no is rape. Whether you like it or not, that is
you have every right to withdraw your consent at any time, whether in a marriage relationship, or in a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship, or fiancé, fiance, whatever they call it relationship, or significant other, or whatever type of relationship. You have a right to say yes. You also have a right to say no. And no, N-O is no.
Yes.
There is no maybe. There is no, it can translate to yes. No is no.
No. All right, there's another question. While I got you guys, there's another question, and this one says that when you are in a relationship, you are in a married relationship, and you notice as a woman or as a man that your partner is abusive all the time, verbal, emotional, psychological, physical, spiritual, everything. But you do not want to leave, especially coming where we come from, we Africans. Divorce,
Africans.
separation is frowned upon. So you decide to stay because of your children. What is your take on that? Let's start with you, Bello. Are you ready? She's asking, look at the question. She's asking, when I stay, am I saying yes to the abuse? Am I raising abusers and victims? I'm raising abusers for my boys and I'm raising victims for my girls. What do you say to that?
Okay, so in fact, I love this topic. And I'm sorry to say, whenever I hear people say it, it makes my stomach hurt. You
Mm,
know, first of all, you're not staying for the kids. You should, the reason why you should leave an abusive marriage is because of your children. Like Dr. Opara said, you have to break the cycle. And I'm telling you guys, if you're watching me, I broke the cycle. I did the same thing. The only reason I left the marriage was because of the children. If you stay in an abusive marriage, you're telling your son, you're telling your daughter that it's okay to abuse. And you're telling your son, you're telling your daughter that it's okay to be abused. Definitely, with the grace of God, you might end up not raising, but the chances that you're not going to raise an abuser, it's very slim.
mm,
When you don't show them that when you're in an abusive marriage, or if someone is abusing, there's consequences, right? So
mm,
even though, like, I felt like I didn't leave on time, but even though, let's say the kids are already like 10, 12, you left at that time, they're already 10, 12 years old, you're still doing a great job, because guess what? You're showing your son that if you abuse a woman, when you grow up, the woman will leave you. And
mm,
you're telling your daughter that you cannot accept abuse because abuse is not good, right?
mm.
And then when you have to talk about, oh, if I leave, should I stay or leave? My question is, what exactly are you enjoying in the marriage? Because I'm asking, if someone is physically, mentally, emotionally, financially abusing you, what exactly are you enjoying? Is it the title Mrs.
Mhm.
you enjoying? I don't know what exactly you're enjoying, because one thing is abusers will definitely minimize you. You're not going to even be able to reach your potential.
Mhm.
Just imagine you being respected when you go outside and all that, and you come home, you're a doormat.
So nobody.
That's the way I felt. When
That
I
is
come
correct.
to work, I'm taking care of commissioners, I'm taking care of police officers and all that. And when I get home, I'm belittled,
You're
I'm
nobody.
like a dog mad. And then when you ask my children and say, how does daddy treat mommy? They will answer you like trash and slave.
Yeah, I had your daughter say that. That's true.
So
Mm,
tell me, is that the life that you want to live because you're scared of what the society is, what the society will say? Tell me, when you die or you develop cancer, will the society come to your aid? No, they won't. As a matter of fact, when you die, when they come to your grave, they will tell you, "Oh my God, hey, yeah, why did she leave? Why did she stay?" The same society.
The same society.
all right, Dr. Frank.
I agree. Let me chime in there. I agree with
What
Dr.
was
Bello
that?
in what she
Mhm.
said, because you have to understand this thing. We always give the excuse, and I believe it's because of our cultural background that we're staying for the children. The truth of the matter is what Dr. Bello said, that when you leave an abusive relationship, you are living for your children.
That's right.
Even the children that you're supposedly staying for, they will tell you, Mom, why are you taking this abuse? Why are you
Mhm.
staying with that? Why are you letting him treat you that way? And yet you tell me that you're staying for them. That is a laugh. I think what actually why women stay is not because of their children, even though that's what we say. The
Mhm.
truth of the matter is that we stay because we are not independent.
That's right.
We cannot fend for ourselves.
Yeah.
So some of us stay because we cannot fend for ourselves and we're afraid of the unknown. So that's why we do women empowerment and teach women skills acquisition, retraining, getting yourself as part of the society. That's the first step. That when you live and live out with your children, you will be an independent woman and you can take care of your children. Or you get some help so that you will be able to stand on your own with a little training here and there to be able to live. The thing that people don't want to live out of is, oh, I've invested 20 years,
20
30
years.
years.
I don't want
So
to
if I leave now, what will I do? What will happen to my children? And sometimes, which is very funny, maybe not funny, but which is very true, is that the abuse sometimes spills over to the same children that you're claiming that you're staying for. And you are not in a position to defend them because you are an abusive person, an abused person. So because of that, they are in what we call a volatile environment. Something is waiting to break or something is waiting to burst. So they are walking on eggshells, afraid. And before you know it, you have raised children who are not sure of themselves, who have self-esteem issues, so who are second guessing themselves. So if the abuse is there, please, please, please go out, get some help. If you cannot get help in that relationship, take a separation. Since we always frown at a divorce, take a separation. Separate yourself from the environment. Get some cure inside there. Get people to be in a healthy place. Then you can go back or do whatever you want to do. But the bottom line is that you cannot continue in an abusive relationship and give these excuses. It's for my children. It's for my family. Some people do it for their own family, where they're coming from. Maybe they come from a poor family and they married into a rich family. So they're taking abuse because of the little things the rich family is giving to their own family.
That's
These are different things that play a part. But the bottom line is that even in the Bible, the pastors are coming around to it. Abuse is never ordained by God. That's not what God wants for you. Tell me that God doesn't like divorce. God doesn't like separation. Yes, God doesn't like divorce. Neither does God like abuse. God does not like beating on your wife or husband. God does not like emotional blackmail. God does not like psychological warfare. God does not like verbal abuse. So let me tell you one thing I want to take out of here, all of you that are listening. If you are in an abusive relationship and you get yourself out of it, you did not break the vow of marriage.
No, you
the
did
person
not.
that broke the vow is the person that abused you.
That's right.
Because you're supposed to love each other like Christ loved the church. That is a love that you can give your life for. Ask yourself that question. The way this woman is treating me, will they be able to lay their life down for me? If they're not able to do that, they broke it by abusing you. Don't worry about it. God did not put you in that situation so that you can suffer and die. That can never be God's plans for you. God has a better plan for you. Do not take abuse. You know, abuse, whether it is physical, psychological, emotional, whether it is verbal, abuse, you do not have to take it.
All right, let me introduce. This is the last one before we round up. There are some people, most people will say when you're in an abusive relationship, remember it was anger that now led to abuse.
Yes.
Now, people will tell you, oh, as a Christian, you touched on it. As a Christian woman, you should not divorce. As a Christian woman, you should not separate. And most pastors, I'm being honest with you, I have a lady that her husband was physically abusing her, hitting her black and blue. When she decided to leave, her pastor and the wife came to her and told her she has to go back. The same day she went back, her husband stabbed her 14 times and she died.
That happened exactly like that in Texas.
Now the husband is in jail. The children are with the sisters. What kind of a family? So I want us to talk a little bit about the role the church plays in anger, in abuse in our relationship. Let me start with you, Dr. Bello.
So I always like to use a life experience. So let me just say this, maybe I want to say Nigerian churches, or I want to say African churches.
Churches.
Even my 12-year-old daughter will tell you, if you're going through any abusive relationship, don't go to your pastor. My 12-year-old, you know why? Like what happened left a very bitter taste in her mouth. Because The last physical violence that happened to me, when I called the pastor asked me, "What did you do to
To
what did
get
you
abused.
do? No, what did you do to trigger him?" And my daughter was there crying in the background. So that was like a very bad experience for her. You know,
Yes.
so one thing is pastors, leaders, deaconesses, they don't have a very good understanding of domestic violence.
Yes.
And if you think about it, they are being abused too.
They abuse their wives. They do.
My is a deacon, so I know a lot of pastors' wife that is in domestic violence. So you tell me, someone that doesn't have a better understanding of what abuse is, you expect to get that help from that person. If anyone in the church arena, pastors or elders, if they are here watching me, the advice I want to tell them is, if you really want to help your community, you really want to help your members, you need to pay for people to go get training, or you have a standby professionals. Do you guys have the married couple a fellowship? You guys need to assign one or two people under your payroll. That's if you don't want to send them to go out to get counseling or to get help. The bottom line is churches, fellowship or whatever, they are not helping at all. At the end of the day, they will re-traumatize the victim. And that's what they do. They will shame the victim. They will blame the victim. They will tell the victim need to be a proverb. What's that thing called?
Virtuous woman.
Righteous woman. They will tell you to pray more. My dear, I prayed and fasted. I prayed and fasted. It didn't change anything. And do you want to know what the bottom line is? I'm sorry to say, abusers don't change. Period. You know why they don't change? Because they don't even recognize that they have
That
problems.
is a problem, yes.
For any change to occur, there must be an acceptance. So when there is no acceptance, how are you going to change?
Yeah, it is.
All right, Dr. Opera, what's your take with the role of the church in this issue? Dr. Opera?
Uh-oh.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
I said, what is your take on that with the role of the church?
Yes, I agree with Dr. Bello that, in fact, statistics have shown that there are more, we're having more abuse in Christian families than in any other family because of this notion that God does not like divorce. God does not like separation. But the truth of the matter is this. In the situation that we are living today, there is no excuse for abuse, whether it is in the Christian family or not. So like Dr. Bello said, some of our preachers are not aware, but I've seen that preachers are coming up. I begin to understand it. But for some of those that are not aware, they do need to get the training, like she said. Because most of them advise people to go back, and they go back to their deaths. They go back and die.
Yes.
What you just explained that happened to the woman that you talked about happened on at least 3 to 4 different occasions here in Texas, where a woman was advised to go back and she was killed the very next day or a week after. And why? She was in an abusive relationship. She wanted out, and everybody, like we usually do in our community, gathered. Oh no, for the sake of your children, stay there, go back, pray. That is the worst that comes up. Pray. Pray. Oh, you're not praying enough. Pray harder. You cannot pray enough to change an abuser. They need help.
Yes.
They have to get that help. So it's prayer plus help. It's what will help them to get where they need to go. So we need to start facing the reality of life. That once a person is an abuser, it takes a lot for them to change, if ever. But whatever the case, you don't have to take abuse. You have to, at least, if you can't change someone, you should start by changing yourself.
That's
Do
right.
something about the situation yourself. Be safe first. Once you are safe, only people that are alive can be in marriage.
That's
But dead, you cannot marry somebody. Remember, till death do us part. So when you now depart, you are dead. So and then you're trying to get to us out on your own. Find an exit, take a hike, run as fast as your legs can carry you.
That's right.
When things are better, you can come back. If they don't get better, get self-sufficient, get yourself something doing. This life is one life to live. Do not allow somebody to end your life so quickly.
So yeah, I
I
hope my uniques, you guys are listening. We are really we're being real. This is as real as we can get. Because most churches, thank God for my church. Dr. Bello knows my church. My
Yes, yes.
Pastor John Citizen, he does not believe in domestic violence.
That's right.
All right.
If you call him personally, he will come and get you out of that relationship. Because there
That's
is
because he's my colleague.
yeah,
We
there is
just
no
believe in
place
this.
in the Bible where
He
God
said,
said
he
that
said he will call the police by himself.
verbally abuse you. My pastor said no, it's written nowhere in the Bible. He
It's
will
not in the Bible.
and get you out of there. That nobody is going to die because of marriage. That God did not, that's not God's plan for you. That
No.
God never planned that for you. So I love it that we are talking about it. And then finally, I want you guys to just speak to the people out there. A woman that is out there, that is listening to us, that has been listening to us now for about an hour and 6 minutes. Talk to her passionately from your heart. Her husband, her wife. It's not only men.
Yes.
It's not only men. Men also get abused.
Yes.
Yes.
Although
Yes.
the case is not a lot, statistics say maybe 24%. But
It's 80-20.
or 80-20, so they get abused too. So let's talk to somebody out there, a man, a woman that is watching us for the past 1 hour, 6 minutes. Talk to them from your heart. Talk to them about anger. Talk to them about how it translates to abuse and tell them to get help. What is your advice for them? Let's start with you, Dr. Bello.
So let me start from anger. So if you're listening to me, I need you to know you have every right to be angry. Even when someone tells you that you don't have the right to be angry, it's an abuse. The way you process your anger is what matters.
That's right.
If you're being abused, I'm going to tell you straight from the heart. If I stay for 15 years and nothing changed, I don't think anything would change. If you're in danger, you need to go get help. And when you're ready to get that help, you need to develop a tough skin. You will not listen to the society and you will not listen to pastors. You will only get your help from professionals and survivors. The only place you can get true help is from professionals and survivors. Sometimes even the professional might even be a little bit sketchy if they don't have the experience.
Yeah.
I want to know your abuse is not your fault. You don't have hand in your abuse. And I need you to know there's a brighter light after the abuse. There's a brighter light after the tunnel. The things that you think you can do, yes, you can do it. And one advice I will give to you, if you're able to find your way out in that situation, you need to go get help. Either in this situation or after the situation, you still need to get help. Most of the time, victims don't live with a sound mind.
That's right.
It's been years of manipulation, years of gaslighting, years of putting down, years of isolation. You're going to have to reconnect with your support system. So you need to get help. I just want to tell you, you are beautiful, you are handsome, you are beautifully made, and there's nothing you cannot accomplish if you put your mind to it.
That's right. All right, Dr. Opara, speak to them.
Okay, I'm going to start with anger. Anger is natural, but don't let it consume you. That's my advice. Find a way to talk to someone about what is making you angry. Express yourself to someone. Then address the issue in a more subdued environment. Address why you're angry and take something out of it. If you see that your anger is getting out of hands, control yourself because you are an adult. You can't just go out there and be acting all crazy because you're angry. Control your anger and seek help. If it has gotten to a point where you cannot control it, then you need help. If anger has resulted to an abuse, women, I'm saying this for women and men who are victims, there is no reason to take abuse. No reason. Find a way out. There are several ways. First, find a safe place. You have to be safe. Secondly, retrain yourself or find something doing to get back your independence and self-worth. Because that's what abuse robs you of, your
Mm-hmm.
self-worth. Find a way to regain that. Find God if you haven't found God. Find God. I'm not saying go from church to church or become a pastor. I'm saying find God and give your life to God, because
Mm-hmm.
with God all things are possible.
Yeah,
That's where you get the strength that you need to fight the battle, because it is a major battle that you're fighting for your life and for the lives of your children. So you need to be
mm-hmm.
equipped for it. Forget the society you came from, because when you die, they will bury you the same way they will bury anybody that came from anywhere in the world.
That's
So
right.
what you need to do is to be alive. I want you to know that you have to be alive to be married. If you are dead, you cannot be married. You have to be alive to be able to protect those children that you say you are taking the abuse for. If you die, believe me, they'll be abused worse than you ever thought,
That's
because
right.
you're not there to protect them anymore. So
That's
you need to be alive to be useful to them. You also need to be alive to teach your children that they are stronger than they think. They can
mm-hmm.
live an abusive relationship. They can be better than whatever anybody or their abuser tells them that they are. Listen to the word of God from some people, but read the Bible for yourself.
That's
When you
right.
read the Bible for yourself, nobody can tell you what the Bible said and what the Bible did not say,
That's
because you
right.
will know exactly what the Bible said for
Mm.
yourself. Communicate every decision you make in life with your own relationship with your God. He will not lead you astray, because his thoughts for you are thoughts of good, not evil. So he couldn't have made you so that you can suffer and go through all that. But most importantly, people, I know if you're coming from US, it's easy for us to say, get help, call police, do that, do the other one. If you're coming from other societies, you may not be able to call on law enforcement or any other person to help you. So you need to start finding an escape route. Make sure that in an abusive relationship, you have an escape route all the time, so
That's
that you
right.
start planning your exit from the beginning,
That's
because
right.
it's not, abuse will not stop. So you have to stop it, either by living out alive or by living out dead. The choice is yours.
That's
But
right.
as for abuse, you don't have to take it.
That's right.
All right, my people, you have it. I told you guys every week I'm gonna bring the best in the field. Okay, Attorney Opera, Dr. Opera is an attorney at law. She's based in Houston, Texas. Dr. Bello is a nurse practitioner. She's based here in Atlanta, Georgia. I told you guys they are experts in this field. Guys, like we said today, these are the things you should take away from this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Anger is a normal thing. It happens to the best of us. But how you control it, how you execute it is where the problem lies.
That's right.
When you get angry, it doesn't give you the license, the authority, the grounds to lash out and treat the people you love the most the worst because you think you're angry. It doesn't give
Yes.
you the license. And
That's
Mhm.
correct.
how to abuse most of the time. And we talked about verbal abuse. Don't say you love somebody when you are there telling the people they can't amount to anything. You call them all kinds of names that is
Putting them down.
their parents gave them. You put them down, you belittle them, you gaslight them, you accuse them with everybody they say hi to. They are dating that person. You accuse them of everything under the sun. Everything that goes wrong in your life is their fault. Everything that happens to you is their fault. My sister, my brother, that is abuse. And today, if you didn't get anything, get this. Nobody needs to be in an abusive relationship.
That's
Abuse
right.
is not acceptable.
That's
It's not
right.
tolerated. We
At
cannot
all.
like it. We
That's
don't
right.
want it. We don't need it. It is a taboo in this generation and time. Don't give me an excuse that, oh, you're staying there for your children. All you are doing is raising victims. and raising abusers.
That's right.
That's right.
Okay to abuse a woman. After all, their mom took it. And your daughters will think it's okay for a man to abuse them. After all, their mom took it. So it's a lose-lose situation. But when you stand up and say, no, I am worth more than this, and say, no, I deserve more, your children will stand up too and say, I deserve more. And then
That's
you
right.
teach them how to stand up for themselves. Remember, no kind of abuse is better than the other. So don't come and tell me, oh, he talks to me, but he doesn't hit me. Whether he's verbal, it's financial, it is sexual, it is emotional, psychological, anything abuse is abuse. None
That's
is
right.
better than the other. None is accepted. So if you're in that kind of relationship, I'm going to leave a link on the national telephone number you can call. If you're in an abusive relationship, the hotline, reach out to somebody.
Come see me. Come see me. Contact
Dr.
me.
Bello has a coaching thing for women that are survivors. Reach out to her. I will leave their description, their information in the description box. Reach out to her. I also have a coaching program. Reach out to me. There is help out there, my sister. There is help out there, my brother. And for those of you that are my brothers, you are not forgotten. We know some of you are also abused. It might not be physical, but most of the time it might be verbal, emotional, psychological, and otherwise. So we know you are also abused. Reach out and get help. Don't stay at a place and say, oh, let me take it. And please, please, don't let the abusers manipulate you. Oh, if you leave me, I'll kill myself. Oh, if you leave me, I'll die. Honey, trust me, they are not dying.
Nothing.
Nothing is going to happen to them.
I'm not buying anything.
They are not dying anything. They
They,
are going to
they ain't
survive.
going nowhere.
It's a way of manipulating you to keep you exactly where they want you. They will isolate you. They don't want you to talk to family members. They don't want you to have friends because when you are isolated, then they can very well abuse you without anybody saying no. Don't do that to her. Remember to give us a thumbs up, share this video, and please subscribe to the channel. Remember, like I always tell you guys, you are beautifully and wonderfully made by God. That is why you are unique. Dr. Bello, Dr. Opara, thank you very much for being with us this evening. Thank you very much. Let's say bye.
Thank you.
It was my pleasure. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Bye. All right.